So, welcome to the BrandBar Happy Hour Chat, everybody. We're excited to be joined by Mr. Richard Lau today. For those of you who aren't aware, Richard, he's a big deal. He's really been working very hard in this industry. He founded and operated one of the top 30 registrars in the world, and he was also the first ever Domainer of the Year recipient at Traffic 2004. Thanks for coming in, and thanks for being with us here today, Richard.
Oh, I'm happy to join. I've listened to many of your interviews, and I'm a big fan, so I'm honored to be here.
Well, we really appreciate your support. You know, speaking of traffic, that makes me think about Namescon coming up here in the next month or so, and that's kind of what we're here to talk about today, Namescon. And I wondered if you could start us out with just, telling us what it is, because not all of our audience will be aware of this industry event. They won't know what it is.
Sure. Namescon is the industry conference, and that's how we've launched it last January, and the second conference is coming up January 11th to 14th, 2015 in Las Vegas. And it's if you are involved in the domain name industry or you're on the edges, if you're in brand management or trademark issues online, then this is the place to come and network and get to know everyone in the industry. When we launched last year, we had expectations of 250 people, and we ended up just under 600. It's December 9th, and we're already at well over 500 people. So we should be hitting 800, possibly more, attendees this year, and we're very excited.
Wow, that definitely speaks to the success of the conference. If you're already well over last year's attendees, that's great. I'm wondering if you could tell us a little bit about what we can expect. Like, can you give us some information about some of the keynote speakers?
Sure. I mean, we've got a unique, what I think is a unique focus at Namescon. First of all, we really focus on networking, so that we bring all the people together in the industry, so that, you guys can shake the bush, so to speak, and see what falls out. Shake the trees and see what falls out. And with a focus not on policies or politics, but on business opportunities and revenue opportunities. And so that's one side, is bring all the people in the industry together. So there's a critical mass, and there's plenty of opportunity for meeting and chance meetings and breaking bread and having drinks and mingling. Then the second is the high-quality content. We don't want to just have advertorials or a single company driving anything. So last year we launched with three simultaneous tracks, and instead of one keynote that you spend $30,000 bringing a keynote in, we felt that it would be better to bring the keynotes from within the industry and have more of them. And so this year we have and when I say industry, I mean that in a wide sense. Last year we had Matt from the founder of WordPress, Matt Mullenweg, and who's a fantastic speaker. And people said, "Oh, how much did you pay for him?" And we didn't. Matt actually asked if he could come and speak. So, last year we had the mayor of Las Vegas. I don't think she's ever spoken at an internet conference in Las Vegas. And she came and opened the conference. So we've got a lot of local support. We've got support online, as well as within the industry. So this year, we're looking at about 10 keynotes. A lot of them are shorter, more of the TED Talk style. And we're happy to have Frank Julien keynoting again. But most of the keynotes are brand new. I think that J. Scott Evans from Adobe is going to be a very interesting speaker to hear. We've got Fiona Alexander from the U.S. Department of Commerce. We've got ICANN coming. So Akram Atella, he's the president of the Global Domains Division at ICANN. So we're really happy to have everyone coming out, and GoDaddy, getting GoDaddy to come and keynote. So Mike McLaughlin from GoDaddy, and we're Dan Schindler. I mean, we've got such a great selection of keynotes that it's hard to mention all of them. But we've got the keynotes, and then we have all of the panels and sessions. So if you aren't, at some conferences you go to just for the networking, just for the meeting with the people. Some you go to and it's just the content, and it's usually fairly small, and it's $2,000.
Right.
So what we're trying to do is please as many people as possible by having everything. So we've got the networking, we've got the keynoters, and we've got all of the content and sessions. And quite frankly, the biggest problem you're going to have is there's so much to see and do. How are you going to clone yourself and do it all?
I agree.
That's a good problem to have.
Yes, it is. When I registered and I went to kind of start building my schedule, I was thinking, oh my goodness, how do I choose between this and that? But you're right, it's a good problem to have, because I do know that when I walk away from the conference, I'm going to take so much with me, and I'm going to have experienced, enough that it's going to kind of really help me when I go forward with my business. I also noticed that you guys are going to do some workshops. Tell us about those. I signed up for the domain development workshop.
Yeah. So this is a brainchild of Jothan Frakes. So Jothan, so the main team behind Namescon is Jothan, Frakes, myself, Richard Lau, and Jody Chamberlain, and we've really worked amazingly well. If I can blow toot our own horn. And Jothan is the king of the agenda. So Jothan comes to us from having set up many different domain conferences, and so when I was putting together Namescon, Jothan was the natural fit for quarterbacking the agenda, and as you say, the workshops are his brainchild. So, Jothan, can you jump in here, and I'll let you speak for a few minutes.
Oh, yes, that would be great.
Hi.
Hi, Jothan. Thank you so much for coming, too. We really appreciate this.
Angela, it's a privilege. I definitely appreciate it.
So tell us about the workshops.
The development workshops and the variety of different workshops are really designed, once you have a domain name, you need to go through, and then you'll need to add something to it, whether it's email or hosting, getting a cPanel set up, and adding WordPress or Joomla or other things that people would naturally do to develop out their domain name. We're going to have workshops so that it's not just about getting the right domain, it's about activating that domain and getting the most value out of that domain name. So there's, looking at the agenda, I think Richard touched on this a little bit. We're trying to make sure that it's a very personalized experience, right? I think each person who comes to a conference really has distinct needs and wants and desires out of the conference and why they're coming. And so for us, we've integrated into a system called Sked, which the conference event agenda is located at namescon2015.sched.org, and you can link there from the namescon.vegas website. But attendees who've purchased their pass, or even people who just want to look at the agenda, can go through and pick out what they want. But the attendees actually have a login. They can go through and pick out basically their itinerary and personalize the experience. There'll be people who are more in the legal realm who want to have some of the subject matter related to domains in law. Some of the people are work within the industry. They might work at a registry or a registrar. They'll want to pick the sessions that are most appropriate for what their needs and wants are.
Right.
For people from secondary market, from just general domain developers, people who have those million-dollar names, who are working to build them out or even tell the story about what they've done. It's an individualized experience, and it's designed around that individualized experience. You'll find an opportunity, and by the way, the industry's gathering, so you can talk about it.
And that's great. I actually signed up when I did, and I did go to Sketch, and I did, go in and select everything that I wanted to attend. I know some of the events aren't, some of the keynotes aren't already listed yet, but from what I saw, I knew I would be busy, and it was kind of tough. I did have to decide, am I going to go here or there? But you're right, it does allow for more of a personalized experience, because I'm going to attend one session, I believe it's called Day in the Life of a Brand Manager, I think. I'm going to go there. I mean, I'm talking about brand being my business. Why not do something where I can learn as much as I can? And I think a lot of people who are here with us today and who are going to be listening in will feel the same when they go in and they start trying to get their schedules together. They'll be able to pick and choose what's going to be best for them. Thank you guys so much for thinking of that.
Oh, thank you.
I wanted our guests to understand how a business can benefit from attending these types of industry events. And I always know that we think about the networking part, and like you said before, it's more than that. What can they take away from this discussion? Right from what can they know from when they end this conversation with us today? An added benefit that they'll have from having attended Namescon 2015?
I think to me the importance of attending conferences can't be overstated. When I started in the industry back in 1999, I got onto planes multiple times a year to meet the people that are behind the monikers. No pun intended. But the aliases that we use on domain name forums and Skype handles and Facebook or Twitter, but there's nothing that replaces communication in person. There's video conferencing, etc. But there's we're human, and there's nothing that replaces the trust that is built over a conversation that's done in person. And so. That's why when I was designing Namescon, I put a very strong stress on the networking side. And the feedback that we got from the what I call the town hall or the exhibit hall that is the center of the conference layout was overwhelmingly positive. That they were saying that they'd never had that same vibe at a conference before. And that's because we don't just throw this together and say, okay, well, what can we squeeze into here? We put a lot of thought process down to the conference badge. I've written 2 articles about conference badge design because when you spend 30 hours designing the conference badge with networking in mind, you just go into a kind of a different world. So if you haven't been to a domain name conference, then Namescon is the one to go to.
Right.
Because you're going to mingle, you're going to meet new people. We're not running a country club that's exclusive. We've really thrown the doors wide open. Starting by having the low price point. Well, right now it's $5.99 for the conference pass, and for your listeners, we're going to offer a 50% off discount code. And we really want to encourage newcomers to come. We've brought the industry in a big way. We've got 20 people from GoDaddy attending. We've got 10 people from Google attending. We are delivering the industry, and so domain investors and people who are exploring the business definitely are welcome and encouraged to come, and we're reflecting that by offering the 50% discount to your listeners.
Oh, that's great. I will say this though, it was already much better when you think about, when you think in terms of affordability, because there are a lot of conferences where it costs so much to go, and then you have to consider your travel and your expenses, hotels and things, and then that's when you start weighing it. Is there enough of a benefit to my business for me to make this trip or not? And I think in this case that it's really great, very affordable, and I really appreciate the fact that you're willing to offer our members that discount code. I have another question here about the Consumer Electronics Show. CES ends just days before. Are you seeing a lot of brands and brand managers come to the event?
Yeah, excuse me. We've tightened up the timing to be very close to CES, and so the digital marketing firms are able to attend, and so I know that CES is close to the heart of Jothan, so I'm going to let him jump in and talk to this point.
Oh yeah, thanks. So, for CES, we have been seeing a lot of sign-up of people who are branding firms that are there to support the initiatives of the large major Fortune 500 companies that are in Vegas for that huge event. For those of you who aren't familiar with CES, I suspect we might see record attendance at CES, something to the extent of 160,000 plus people. So there's a lot of branding firms, digital marketing firms that are there basically to support their clients, or you've got the direct marketing departments of these companies. So you have CMOs, people who are senior executives within the marketing realm of those companies, who are the key decision makers on what the digital initiatives are going to be inside of the companies. And there's a lot of these folks who applied for top-level domains that are going to be at the show, kind of extending their trip from CES. We have 3 kind of different keynotes and a number of other sessions around that sort of branding realm to help the audience really learn about what are those digital initiatives and how to take advantage of the new domains. Jennifer Wolf, who was our opening keynote last year, and we've asked back because she's just incredible, will be opening up the session, and she will tell everyone about what the year has brought and all the different new TLDs and what different companies' branding initiatives have been doing. We have Sal Fuentes from a company from Berkeley, California called Decision Council that does digital branding and is exactly one of those companies that's there at CES supporting their clients who are extending through to learn more about the domain names and a lot of the changes that are going on with the new TLDs. And then you'll meet another of our keynoter, which is Howard Lefkowitz, who is branding a variety of travel and destination sites that surround the use of these new domains, but also conventional domains, excuse me. So you'll see Vegas.ninja, and you'll see nightclubs.vegas, and you'll see a variety of different people who are branding now using these new alternatives. There's also Bill Sweetman of Name Ninja suggested a great session which talks about branding around the domain name. It's not necessarily that it has to use a new TLD. It can be around moving over to the right.com. There's a lot of people that start off on a 2 or 3 word .com that have a killer idea, and then they decide to later go and acquire the perfect single word category killer domain and migrate over. So, we probably sound like we drank the Kool-Aid of the new TLDs. We're certainly very supportive, but we also definitely recognize that .com is a global leader and, is kind of the trusted brand that everybody recognizes.
Well, yeah, us being in brand, this is BrandBar after all. It's all about branding here, and you would kind of be kind of narrow in your thinking if you didn't at least consider some of the new GTLDs. So I'm not sure that you're drinking the Kool-Aid. I think you're just widening, the opportunity so that we can get as much information as we can, with the domains or the extensions that are available to us. .com and all the other new ones included. I was wondering, speaking of that, I was going to ask Richard, but Jothan, I'm going to ask you as well. Where do you guys see domaining in the near future? Like, where is it going, in your opinion?
Sorry, domaining in general or domaining
Well,
as a part?
The entire industry, how it's growing. What can we expect? Maybe where do you see it? Where do you see it going in the near future?
Mm-hmm. I do see the new TLDs as offering a lot more choice to individuals and small businesses as they come online. And as Jothan pointed out, the .com is still king and is still the meter. And medium-sized businesses and large businesses will still stay and be willing to pay, the $2,000 to $10,000. Just as an assumed cost of getting a domain name. When you're talking to a company that has 5 or more employees or $500,000 plus in revenue, their choice of domain of brand name is such that they're fully expecting to have to buy it on the secondary market. But the individual who's going to start their own interior design consulting company and work from home, they're the ones that are perfect for the new TLDs, for the .link, for the .sexy, for the .xyz. So that I do see both of these growth curves. I don't see them as as fighting each other for market. I truly believe that the market is expanding at an accelerating rate. And in the same way, if you step back into time and we were talking in 1990, and people were like, oh, well, who needs a cell phone? Well, the service guys need a cell phone. Law enforcement needs a cell phone. Blah blah blah. But my 11-year-old has a cell phone. So it's not that. I think it's the same way in domain names. That here we are today saying, well, who needs a domain name? Well, doesn't everyone need a domain name? If your washing machine is automated, doesn't your washing machine need a domain name? Even if it's not, a fantastic domain name, maybe it's .appliance, .app.
Right.
But just having a sheltered look that if we look back of what's happened in the last 10 years with domain names, I think that's the wrong view. We have to look at what's happened with telephone numbers, what's happened with cell phone usage, what's happened with smartphones, and that's what we need to apply when we're looking forward in domain names. And so that's why I'm a big supporter of just a massive market. It's not just about domain names to businesses. It's about domain names to people and things.
And I'd even build on that, Angela. We have a culture kind of internally to plus up each other's ideas rather than to disrupt. So we like to build and be creative. It's kind of a philosophy we have as a corporate culture within the Namescon team. But one of the examples I often give is to take and think about the way television 20 plus years ago had 4 networks, right? CBS, NBC, ABC, maybe PBS if you count it. Since then, with the proliferation of a variety of different niche sort of vertical stratified channels, there was the introduction of movie channels and sports channels and music channels. And, over time, now it's evolved into hundreds of super focused type of channels. Well, if I'm an advertiser, and this is probably a big relationship with the brand and the brand concept here. If I'm an advertiser, I can go and I can spend, I think the budget is something like $350,000 to buy a 30-second spot on Big Bang Theory, right? One ad, one time, a lot of money. I could probably buy a whole week if if I develop like no-stick pans or something, and I want to get that into the aspiring chefs of the world. I could get a whole week, like hundreds of times a day, to be in front of people on a cooking network for the same budget. And so to me as an advertiser, it makes absolute sense to have that real focused, stratified type of reach to my audience. And the internet just hasn't had that to date. You've got .com, which is familiar and trusted as a brand. I think, you take things like, Expedia. For years, you would say Expedia, and they would sing .com at the end. So all of these brands have had .com ingrained in. But they're like the NBC, the CBS, the ABC. People will still spend all that money for all that reach and all of that, sort of built-in instinctive behavior. But if we look to Twitter, Facebook, and other areas that people have diversified their marketing into, we see that people are open to starting and trying new things. But it's not like you throw a giant Frankenstein switch and it all just immediately diverts over to some new way. People just try and experiment and work with new things, and then it gradually becomes adopted.
That's true. And that reminds me of something that I've said a lot of times. Has never been a business, a product, a service, or anything that hasn't been new at some point. That's just where it starts. Not everyone's going to embrace it right, at the beginning. Sometimes we want to learn what's going to happen. We want to see what it's going to do. But eventually, I think that we're all creative enough that we start to see some of the value and worth and change, and we go along with it because that's just what's going to happen. But, that's my opinion. That's my take on it. That's why I'm excited to be a part of the industry right now, because I get to be a part of what's coming, what's to come. I wasn't around when .coms first came, or maybe I was, but I wasn't old enough to even know better. But I feel like I don't want to miss my chance this time. So, when it comes down to building some great brandables, for me, it doesn't end or it doesn't stop at .coms. I'm not saying that is for everyone, because when you get any type of when you do any type of investing, you really want to know what you're doing, and you want to have a good knowledge of how much you stand to lose and how much you can afford to lose. That's always been my model with business. But I'm really excited to hear your excitement. You guys are excited about the future of the industry. I want to ask you one last question before I open it up to the members to ask you a question or two. What are the long-term plans or goals for Namescon? Like, you already told me how many people you guys have attending this year and how many you might expect. I think maybe 800, around 800 is what you expect. But does the conference have the capacity to keep growing? Is it going to get even bigger? And also, will it always be in Vegas? I think everyone wants to know that one.
Yeah, it's that was a big discussion point over the last year. And actually even before we launched Namescon, but it's my strong personal conviction that Namescon is a Las Vegas January event. So, there's a number of different reasons for that. I've been to, I've been to dozens of conferences in Las Vegas alone. I've been to, tens and tens of conferences elsewhere. But, I know Las Vegas somewhat like the back of my hand, having been there first in, dating myself, 1991. So for me, holding a conference in Las Vegas is like holding it in my hometown, even though I don't permanently live there. I just know the people to call to be able to get something on a moment's notice. We've got an excellent on-site staff base there. So, in terms of putting on and ensuring quality, that's why I am most comfortable in doing that in Las Vegas. As for branding and why we use Namescon.Vegas, it just shows that we have a permanence in Las Vegas. We're part of the local community. When Las Vegas launched, we were at the launch at City Hall with the mayor, and GoDaddy flew in, and so we're part of the local tech community, and but what attendees, from the attendees' point of view, I don't want them to be confused about, oh, Namescon. Oh, wait a second, is that in Dubai this year, or is it in Sao Paulo, or is it in Mexico City, or are we doing that in Singapore? It's enough that ICANN has a requirement that they need to move around globally. But as a conference, I want you to be able to think, Namescon. Are you going to Namescon? Oh, instantly that's in January in Las Vegas.
Right. I'll see you in Vegas in January for Namescon.
Right.
Definitely.
Instead of saying, oh, I'm going. Will I see you at Namescon? Oh, wait. Do you mean Namescon in September? And is it New York?
Where is that going to be?
It's just it's just like Namescon is synonymous with launching the year for business in Las Vegas, and it's easy to get to. It's inexpensive to stay. Our conference room rate is $79. Last year I had people say, is there somewhere else I can spend less? It's like, yeah, you can stay at the Super 8, which is on the same block, or you can stay at the Four Seasons, which is across the street, or you can stay at the MGM. I mean, we've got options from $19.99 a night all the way up to $1,000 plus. So, but we encourage people to stay at the conference hotel because you're going to be most efficient and most effective in your networking there.
That's right.
You're staying you're staying in the tower above the conference space. You want to take a break, you just take the 50 steps over to the elevator, go up to your room, take a break, come back down, and you're right back in the middle of it. That's one of the things we love about the Tropicana Hotel. It's had a $200 million renovation. It's got the South Beach style, but it's large enough to have all of the facilities and support us, but it's small enough that it's not going to kill you to get from one end to the other.
Right. Well, I'm excited. You know what? If it's okay with you guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to open the mic for our members who are still in the chat with us to see if they have questions. Are you guys all right with that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, great. Okay. Let's see here. Okay, everyone, the mics are open. I'll start with Chris. Chris, did you have a question? Oh, Chris, I think you might be muted on your end because I couldn't hear you. Maybe, maybe not. And for anyone who has a question who can't be on the mic, you can also type your questions into the chat window. And I'll definitely read them out for you.
Hey, Angela.
Oh,
this is Adrian.
Okay, Adrian.
I was just trying to help Chris out there, I guess,
Okay, yeah.
while he's trying to get unmuted there. But hey, Richard and Jothan, thank you very much for showing up and coming in. It's been a very interesting 45 minutes. And I guess my question is, Steve Jobs was known as the keynote speaker, and he would always have about 3 points that he wanted to make sure he left the audience. Do you have 3 points or more, but more or less 3 points that you want to leave the audience with?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. So 3 points, I would say, what we're delivering and for Namescon, what we're delivering to you is value. As Angela touched on before, at other conferences, you're spending $1,000 to $2,000 plus travel, etc. We've picked a very convenient, easy to get to city, very affordable to stay, and we've got the lowest prices on conference passes other than ICANN. And then the second is the networking. That we've got a very strong focus on networking, and we're setting people's expectations that you're coming here to talk, you're coming here to meet with people, and we've got the support of the industry companies coming out in full force. It's not like you're coming and there's one guy from Google or one guy from GoDaddy or one guy from Donuts. They're backing us by bringing their employees in full force to meet with the industry, and then thirdly is the content. That the sessions are meaty enough that you could spend all day in sessions, not do any networking, and still have gotten just a tremendous value out of it. So we're trying to deliver on all points. Namescon was designed from an attendee's point of view. We're not coming at this from a corporate stance, or we're trying to afford our own brands or political agendas, or we're coming at it from what do we as attendees want from a conference,
right?
And if we deliver that, then we'll have it. Then success will follow. And so value, networking, and content.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Great
I appreciate
question.
that. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Adrian. Chris, let's see if we got your audio up. No, we still didn't get it, but you can put your question in the chat window and I'll read it for you. In the meantime, does anyone else have a question? And just so you all know, at the end of the chat, when I convert this to video, I'll also include the links here and also that amazing discount code that Richard and Jothan were generous enough to give us. And don't forget to go over to Namescon 2015. Is it .sketch.org, Richard?
Sorry, I just had my mic on mute. Yes, it's namescon2015.sketch.org.
Okay, awesome. And that way you'll be able to see what the content is, speakers, sessions, all of that great stuff. And I'll also include that link as well. Let me see here. I think I might have Richard's question. Chris's question here. Let's see. The question is, I'm launching my blog, Seattle Domainer. I was wondering if there is any amount of audio or video I can share without infringing on your IP.
I think that's a question for you.
Is that a question for me, Chris? No? That's a question? He's shaking his head no. I think that was a question for you guys.
Okay.
Did not say yes, an affirmative.
Yeah, from our point of view, any audio that you've recorded or listened to here, we're happy for you to share on your blog. if you're talking about coming to the conference and recording and doing video, then that's something that we should take offline and chat about between myself and Jothan and your. So you can reach both of us, Richard at Namescon.com and Jothan at Namescon.com. So we're pretty easy to reach, or just use the contact form on Namescon. And yeah, we'll post our emails in the chat window. But yeah, if you're wanting to, we're not actually recording the sessions. We did some last year, and it's a tremendous cost when you're at a union hotel. So yeah, if you're wanting to bring your own equipment and record, there's probably something we can work out quite well. But let's have that discussion maybe over Skype.
Oh, that's a good question, Chris.
Yeah.
If you guys work something out, let me know, because I might want to see if we can get some of that over at the BrandBar.
Yeah. I mean, it would be very interesting. Very interesting. We've got the keynote room, obviously, which will be where all of the keynotes are held. But we have 3 breakout rooms, so there are a lot of sessions going on.
Well, this is really exciting. I want to thank you guys again for coming over and being so generous with your time. I really appreciate it. I'm sure our members appreciate it. And what I'll do is I will convert this meeting to video, and everyone will be able to take a look and a listen at it later. Thank you guys so much.
Well, we're happy to have joined in, and honored to have been invited. So we look forward to seeing everybody in Las Vegas in January.
You'll definitely be seeing me. I'll probably see you on my way to 1 or 2 or 3 other sessions, but we'll see how it goes.
Thanks a lot, Angela.
Thanks for coming. Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.